Hello and welcome to Digi and Skywatcher's Recommendation Rally. After getting into the swing of modern music by following the needle drop in 2013, Skywatcher and I decided to embark on an epic quest to consume pretty much every musical release from the month of January and suss out our favorites, and we may even do it again next month. We're going to give our impressions of these albums fairly quickly, but if you look in the description you'll find information on where you can listen to each of these albums. Most of them are available for free streaming and cheap purchase, and we greatly encourage both the try before you buy mentality and the buy it if you like it mentality. Diving right in, let's start with Iller Than Most, the new free hip-hop mixtape from Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Del experiments with harsher, grimier beats on this tape and some hilarious lyrics and delivery. His attitude and persona on this release is infectious, and while many of the songs get a bit repetitive, especially in the choruses, I found it to be a fun album to listen to while I played through the Wind Waker.
First up, we have the new self-titled LP from Tennessee noise rock quartet and Bad Tapes affiliate Slag, not to be confused with the Chicago black metal band of the same name. With this record, they pull together the world of blues rock, country, and noise into a pretty harrowing and engaging release. Oddly enough, I'm almost getting a Daniel Johnston vibe from these guys. That, of course, if Daniel Johnston were a bit more psychotic than he already is.
My next two picks are both under-the-radar Bandcamp releases. First up, Faustian Children by the Telephone Projects. These guys produce very sleepy, dreamy, lo-fi music on odd-sounding instruments that I can't even place. Their songs are depressive, with the first lyrics on the album, Buried in Cancer, I Am Your Cancer, really setting the tone for the whole release. I love putting these guys on while I go to bed or just in the background, and so far I'm the only person with a Bandcamp account who's actually paid for any of their albums, so do go check them out. Following that, I have the 3-song EP We Are Spirits Now Rejoice by Helpful Kappa, which is the new alter ego of pony musician Cherax Destructor. On this EP, Cherax experiments with post-rock sounds and turns out some pretty cool chill songs that make for great soundtrack music to play over video games. Cherax pulls off enough originality to stay above the stagnance of the oversaturated post-rock genre, so I'd love to see him continue this project and see where else he can go with it.
Next we have an album that I already reviewed in full on the blog Film Music, the new album from singer, songwriter, and brony music legend Jeff Burgess and his backing band The Bad Mares, Autumn Nights. Again, click that link if you want to know more, but in short, this is a really lush and anthemic pony-themed rock opera focusing on the rise and fall of vinyl scratch. It contains some of the most emotionally potent and lush pony music you could find anywhere, and a ton of great collaborators including Feather, Griffin, and the main man himself Digi, who spits a really harrowing rap verse on the song Spider Bite.
Up next is an odd choice from me, the new Doug Paisley album, Strong Feelings. This is a country singer with a little bit of a folk edge, which puts him just close enough to my comfort zone. I've been trying to find a country release that would finally get me interested in the genre, and this one comes pretty close. While some of the more dense and moody songs grabbed my ears, I did think that some of the songs were more stale, and ultimately I didn't enjoy the album enough to purchase it. But if you have any interest in the genre, it's definitely worth a listen at least.
Next is the new Phantasm Nocturne's tape, Abused Flesh, a really harsh and gritty noise record with its head stuck thoroughly in that old school black metal mentality. It's not one of my all-time favorite noise releases. I do like my noise a little bit more digital and dynamic, but it's still a pretty damn interesting tape.
The Unnatural World by Have a Nice Life is a noisy, dark, and bleak take on the post-punk and even borderline gothic genres, with a crushing sense of emotional weight behind it. The album suffers a little bit from the unevenness of the track layout, with a kind of boring drony song in the middle of the album that cuts the tension from the brilliant first 3 tracks, but still, overall, I greatly enjoyed this release and look forward to finally checking out the band's more famous previous album, Death Consciousness.
You know, even though it wasn't one of my personal favorite albums of the year, I do see a strong case to be made for the new Actress LP, Ghettoville. This electronic music producer takes on the world of wonky and vaporwave with a lot of gusto, even though to me some of the ideas fall flat. If those genres interest you at all, check this thing out. It's a pretty good listen.
Come to Life by Cities of Eve is a very cool, noisy, yet upbeat and chill hip-hop album that sounds like the alternate universe happy version of Death Grips, insofar as City's voice and delivery often sounds exactly like MC Ride. The album packs a lot of variety into a short span, and while I didn't love it enough to pay what they were asking for it, I definitely think it's worth a listen.
Going back to the noisy end of the spectrum, we have the new 40-minute piece from Delix Knows drone artists, Medroxyprogesterone Acetate, I Do Not Wish to Continue. This thing is one long 40-minute synthscape tackling everything from light ambience to harsh, ear-grating, brittle gutter noise. It's some pretty jarring stuff and makes for a great late-night listen.
My second favorite album of January was Try Me by Self Defense Family, a lo-fi emo punk outfit delivering the kind of music that you take a walk and brood over when you're angry at the world. At least that's how I've been using it. The divisive vocals sound like a guy who's been yelling for so long that his voice is gone, yet he just keeps going. Many of the lyrics have a sarcastic and bitter bite to them, and almost every track features highly repetitive lyrics which are going to put a lot of people off. Also, randomly sandwiched into the songs is a 40-minute interview with a former porn star that, while interesting, was immediately pulled from my playlist for being disruptive, and definitely discourages me from ever buying the album on vinyl. Still, I really enjoyed this release and got a lot of mileage out of it, so I hope that you'll at least give it a chance.
And finally, probably my favorite release this month that wasn't already on Digi's list, the new Guardian Alien LP, Spiritual Emergency. If you don't know, this is an avant-garde and experimental noise band fronted by former Liturgy drummer Greg Fox. And really, the whole reason this band exists is to show off his frantic drumming in a solo capacity. And yeah, that sounds a little bit gimmicky, but this album actually rocks pretty hard.
Last on the list is both of our favorite album of 2013 so far, Fuck Off! Get Free, We Pour Light on Everything by the Silver Mount Zion Memorial Orchestra. This album mixes post-rock, punk, and orchestral elements into something not quite like anything I've heard before. The tracks are enormous, epic-sounding opuses that really do sound like an orchestra's worth of musicians creating something as noisy, gritty, and trippy as it is pretty and gorgeous. It features some of my favorite songs of the year so far and may very well make it onto my all-time favorite albums list, and I can't wait to get my vinyl copy of it in the mail. Anyways, that about wraps up our recommendation rally for the month of January. Once again, please look in the description for links to where you can listen to all of these albums for free, as well as where they can be purchased. And by all means, if there were any January albums that you liked which we didn't cover, feel free to give your own little reviews of them in the comments and we'll upvote them. Big thanks to Skywatcher for helping me to round out this list, and we hope you'll join us again next month if we decide to do this again.